Welcome to the Spiritual and Cosmic Podcast with Lady D, the podcast where the mystical meets every day. I'm your host, Lady D, psychic, medium, astrologer, spiritual guide, and cosmic truth teller. Each week we'll dive into real talk about living in a spiritual life in a human world. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the messy, and in between. From psychic insights, astrology breakdowns, to soulful chats and cosmic truths. This is your sacred space to awaken, expand, and keep it 100% real. So grab your crystals, open your heart, and let's get spiritual and cosmic. Hi everyone, welcome back to Spiritual and Cosmic with Lady D. I'm your host, Lady D, psychic, medium, astrologer, and spiritual straight talker. Or straight shooter, I should say. In today's episode, I want to have a real no-nonsense chat about something I see all the time in the psychic world, and that's really confusing. Confusion about who to trust, confusion about the language readers use, and confusion when people try to make things sound more powerful and exotic just to look special. So today I'm giving it to you straight. I'll break it down how to choose the right psychic, what red flags to watch out for, and the meaning behind some of those spiritual buzzwords that leave so many people scratching their heads. If you ever felt overwhelmed trying to book a reader, or if you've left a session feeling more confused than clear, then this episode is for you. So what is the role of a psychic? So we'll break this all down. So psychics, we don't know everything. I always say we get puzzle pieces. So we get the pieces of the puzzle, and then we see things, and we basically tell you what we see, what we hear, what we feel. That is our job. We cannot tell you what to do with your life. I may say in a reading myself, I'll go, this is not me being psychic, but I'll say what I need to say. If you're there for, as an example, to do with a relationship, and maybe to do with an ex or something, and a reader just says straight out, oh, no one gets back with their ex, then you know that reader, they're not giving you what they see, they're giving you more of their opinion, and you're not there to hear their opinion. Depending on the situation, you more want to know what they see. So just remember that we don't know everything. We do get puzzle pieces. We read energy as well. I believe in destiny. So I believe that, things that we do see, it can be part of your destiny. We may get it wrong. We may interpret what we see wrong or what we feel wrong. But I do believe in destiny. So a good psychic can guide you. We don't tell you what to do. As I said, if you're really got a tough situation, and it might be a little bit controversial, whatever the situation is around you, and someone just says, oh, well, that never happens. I remember I went to a psychic, and I asked them, was I going to do this work as my full-time job? And they were just like, oh, well, no one does this for full-time work. You'll just be like me, and you'll just have a few readings on Saturday, and that will be it. That's all that happens in this career. Now, that is not true. That was that psychic's opinion, because I know people who do this for a full-time job and are quite successful at it. You've got, even if you're looking at the main stage here, you got John Edwards, you got Lisa Williams, they all do it as their main job, and I know people who aren't on the main stage and do it as their job. So in that case, that reader was giving me her opinion, not what she saw for my future. So a real psychic work is grounded, empowering, and healing. So you should be feeling better by the end of the session, or they should be able to give you some kind of a hope at the end of the session. You shouldn't be left feeling overwhelmed or bad. They should try to make you feel, at least give you some hope at the end. If it may not be, they may not tell you what you want to hear. So if you wanted to know that you're going to get that job that's going to pay you $10 million, but they didn't see that. But if they give you some hope that, maybe it will come in 10 years' time, or maybe you could do a course, or maybe other jobs can come up and you're going to feel very fulfilled, they should give you some kind of hope. So it's all about connection, not just showmanship. Okay. So also too, now these are the red flags and readers' sort of manipulation and tactics that may have as well. If someone says like fear-based things, like you've been cursed, someone's put a curse on you, and I can break a spell. I don't believe in curses. I don't believe in spells. I don't believe that anyone has the power to be able to change your destiny and your path. So if they're saying that, it's more, it could be, some of them do it as more of an expense, so you can pay them more money for them to do this spell or break some sort of curse. Yeah, watch out for that. Overuse vague spiritual words. And it's also good to know about who you're going to. I'll get to sort of the labels that people call themselves. But if you are someone that, I always say with tarot readers, if you're just a tarot reader, you're someone who's just gone to a tarot class, you have managed to memorize or the whole deck of that's in a tarot deck, the 70, I think it's 70 odd cards in a tarot deck. I'm not sure. I'm not a tarot reader. I am an intuitive card reader though. So, and therefore they have their different card placements there, and they will tell you based on what the meanings of those cards. So they're not really giving you intuitive reading. It's whatever cards comes out. But then any card could come out of the deck is what I feel as well with that. Me personally, so a lot of my readings now, I don't even use the cards so much anymore. For me, I get more the information which just comes to me, and I trust that more because it comes from spirit. Also too, when you get, I once remember I got a reader that's told me that I was doing way too much and that I had to give up my other job for my spiritual work and just have faith. Well, that wasn't going to happen. And again, they were just reading sort of cards. It could be, I was freaking out with that. So constant upselling, like I said about the curses, or you need to have 6 more sessions to remove the block. Again, we don't. That is not something that is very good, especially also too when sometimes when you have a reader, they don't really understand your situation. They're not really understanding what you're in, and if you're someone that's really wanted to have a child and they say, oh, you don't need children, but you're going to meet someone and raise someone else's children, like that could make you feel quite depressed. But they're saying, oh, they might say, because you don't need to have children because you don't want to, but it means they're not really feeling in your energy. They're not feeling what your wants and what your needs are. And, I actually had someone say that to me, and I actually felt quite depressed. And it was actually a well-known reader that actually said that to me too. So acting superior or spiritually above the client can sometimes happen with people as well. They think that, again, that they know better. And it's really, I feel like it's really important to go to see a reader who can really, understand what you're going through, pick up your feelings, pick up, at least that's puzzle pieces and what you're feeling and the emotions and what's sort of happening around you. And then you can fill in the blanks, and then they should be able to give you more information as well. So making you feel dependent or disempowered is also something that is not good either. So we're also going to go through these words. Now, I find like in different jobs, you'll have different labels that people call themselves. Sometimes they do it to make themselves look a little bit better. As an example, you might see a receptionist have a title as office coordinator when they are a receptionist. So it happens all the time in different fields where people are giving themselves titles to make them look a little bit more fancy. And the same thing is happening in the spiritual world. When I first started going to psychics and I would see all this clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentient, and I really didn't know what any of it meant. And I found it would be really, really hard. And I look at these people's bios, and I ask myself, I used to get so confused about who to go to, and I had this thing about not wanting to go to the wrong person, and it just got very much confusing. The main thing you need to know really is whatever you're looking for. So if the person's a psychic, they can see your past, present, future. If they are a medium, or I call them psychic mediums, I am a psychic medium. Their medium is that they can talk to people or animals that have passed over. I say animals too because to me they're one. And then usually they'll have what they're into. Like, it could be like the tarot. They're really passionate about tarot. They're good at reading those cards. For me, it's the astrology. That's my other modality I do. So that's me reading the charts. I look at the planets, and with the charts, those things don't don't really change. It's destiny. It's there. I love my astrology because I know if you give me that correct time of birth, the details are all there. The chart will not lie. If you're like a numerologist and you're all about numbers, and then they work with your birthday to then give you a reading on whatever those numbers mean for you. And then we have all these other confusing words that people use, but those are like your main things. So those are your main things to remember. But I think for the people who are giving themselves these confusing names, I think they're trying to, again, it's like that corporate world where they're trying to make themselves sound fancy, when actual fact they're actually just confusing the client, really, the people who are there to get readings, who are going to book them. I remember I used to work with this lady, and we were doing an event together, and this person called me up, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to talk to you because, you're a psychic medium." So yeah, and I said, "Oh yeah," and their person, they were about spirits, and I was like, "Oh no, they're a psychic medium too." Didn't really understand what they were going with that, and then we had gone to a fair in a reading room, and someone came to me and said, "I'm coming to you because that person over there is all about the spirits." And I'm thinking, I don't understand what these people are talking about. She's a psychic medium, the same as me. Anyway, then I went to look at the their bio, and it had so and so works with her spirits, then work with your spirits, and has the spirit, and there's so many word of spirits in this bio. It made it sound very confusing, and then the penny dropped. I was like, oh, these are why all these people are getting confused with her bio, thinking that she's all about spirits when she's a psychic medium. Um, and I think I did bring it to her attention, but she didn't get what I was saying, which is fine. But so basically, they're saying they're working with spirits. They're just more working with guides, really. Their guides are telling them information. It's how it works. We connect with our guides. They give us information. If we're doing mediumship, we connect with your loved ones. They're giving us the information. So that is something to remember about that. Now, when we're looking at someone saying that they're clairvoyant, they are seeing again, I think that's more like to me, that is more like a psychic thing, seeing your inner vision. So if you see clairvoyant, just take it as psychic, really. Energy work, shifting, emotion, spiritual blocks. That's what that can mean. I don't know if I believe that. I think we're meant to go through certain things, and things will change. I mean, you can get healings done, and sometimes they worked. I have gone to a past life healing. It's a very interesting experience. I think it did do something. I'll talk about that in another episode, but yeah, cord cutting, letting go of unhealthy energetic ties. Again, this is something you could do yourself. And again, if you're meant to, I think if you're meant to have links with people, maybe you're meant to have those links with people because it's part of your journey. So we got here now, twin flames. To me, twin flames is not a soulmate. Twin flames is someone that is like your opposite as well. And then we have like a shadow work here, healers that's been buried or denied. Like the shadow work is something that you work on your, I guess, like opposites too. When you hear like we've had like downloads, that's like our intuitive messages. So we get downloaded because we get the messages that are coming to us. So now, like this is when we go. These are the sort of words people use in their readings with them. When we are talking about labels as well. So when someone says they're a third, fourth, seventh, or even 13th generation psychic, oh goodness me, sounds like spiritual royalty. But what it really means is that the psychic ability runs in their family, which is lovely and very interesting to hear, but it's not a guaranteed skill. A first generation reader, like for me, I'm a first generation reader that I know of, and I'm just as gifted as, well, I know that someone else says that they're a generational medium, but they do psychometry and they need a photo so many days before they do a reading with you. But the thing is, when they start saying they're generational, number one, if someone was to say to me, I'm a fourth, fifth, sixth generational psychic, I would expect them to be 100% very good. And then there's no guarantee for that. Just because just because that their mum was a gifted medium doesn't mean that they are. Also, too, they're saying that like they're 13th generation. Like, how can they know that? I mean, my family, I know from different parts of my family on my dad's mum's side and also on my mum's dad's side, I'm about a fifth generation Australian. And I know things from my great grandparents and my grandmother's and grandfather's parents, but beyond that, I don't know. So, how you expect to know 13 generations ago? That's a few hundred years when you think about it. So, that's kind of, I don't believe people can actually say that. And again, if that's running through your family so much, you would have to be one of the best readers in the world, or in Australia at least. So just be aware of that. They use that term so loosely. I see it all the time. So again, we've got this energy reader, energy intuitive. So it sounds like that they work with auras, chakras, or emotions, but it means anything from Reiki to vague emotional impressions. So always ask, what kind of energy are you reading and how will it help me? And don't forget, everything is energy. Even when I'm connecting to your loved one, it's energy. If I'm connecting to you, I'm connecting to your energy. So really, again, all they are doing, really, it's just giving you a psychic reading. I actually know someone who says about the energy readings, and they say the psychometry is that, which I'll get to in a moment, because it's on my list to cover. So we got here spiritual, so alchemist or quantum healer. So it sounds very fancy, mixing of science and space, science and spirit, sorry. So, but it can mean a trendy mashup of a little clarity. Real alchemy is a deep transformational work. Real quantum healing involves focused energy healing, not just buzzwords. And there's different types of healers and there's different types of people who do different things. And it's really important to ask questions when you're going to, if you're looking for a healer, ask questions. How do they heal? What do they do? How can they help you? It's not a bad thing to go and ask questions. So I've got here the light language channel or code of light advocator. So this sounds like speaking divine, sounds like frequencies, but to many people, this is confusing or intimidating. Light language is a valid to some, but not always explained well. If someone says that they can activate your cords, what does that even mean in your everyday life? Basically, with the light language, that's the angel language. It's not something that I know or that I do. I have seen people do it, and I have seen people actually get things with it. So I don't deny that. But basically, they say that they do the light language. That basically they it's angel language basically. So we've got the psychometry, I was saying before, but the energy healing reading, this lady that does. And so what does it mean? It's basically reading energy from psychic, so physical objects, basically. So you hold jewelry, you'd have photos, anything that someone has held has energy on it. You could go outside and pick a flower, your energy's on that flower. It does sound like a technical word, but people don't understand unless it's explained. When we start learning like psychic abilities and you go into a circle, a lot of times you will start by holding objects and different objects, and you'll see what you pick up by holding those objects. It is a way it's like training wheels. So it's a way that to help you channel the way you're finding your information here. And so it's helping you concentrate and channel to get what you need. And then once you're able to get what you need off that object, eventually you don't need that object. So eventually a good reader won't need to hold your ring, bracelet. It's more like training wheels, I like to say it. And the person I know who does the energy healer, which is, matter of fact, the same one. It was all about the spirits. I sort of brought it to her attention, and I was like, that's what we do when we first learn. This is psychometry. And they're like, what do you mean? It's energy readings. I read energy. She's also a third generational medium, who, by the way, it's not her great grandmother. She's saying it's her auntie and mother, which is not third generation. Has to be then different levels. So yeah, so psychometry is when they just hold an object and they get the reading. Okay, that's what it means. It's nothing fancy. That's what it is. Soul contract reader means they turn into pre-birth agreements and karmic lessons. But unless they explain how it works, it sounds like abstract and can feel overwhelming. So I haven't really met anyone that does the soul contract reading, but that's what it means if you see it. So Starseed Oracle or Galactic Intuitive, so relates to cosmic soul origins, so Pleiadian. So this is when people sort of like channel things as well. For something new, this can sound far-fetched or even cult-like without clear explanations. They're channeling certain guides here with that. So we got the shadow work. I said the wounded healer means helps people work through past traumas or subconscious patterns, can feel intense or heavy if the reader doesn't approach it gently or explain it well. Again, you need to go and ask questions and see if you need that. You may not need that. For me, half of these things I wouldn't be interested in. With the twin flame, expert, which is a person that helps you. This is a type of love reading, so the person's going to help you in that relationships, basically. Then we've got channeled messages only, means they speak directly messages from spirit guides, but doesn't tell you how they connect or if you're grounded in their interpretations. We've also got spiritual advisor, sounds like a wise guide or mentor, but could mean anything from a tarot reader to life coach or intuitive therapist. So always ask what tools that the person is using, what kind of advice they would give, life directions, relationship support, and business intuition as well. So again, ask these questions. So spiritual advisor, again, it's more a psychic. They like to use all these fancy names for themselves. House cleanser, space clearer. Now, I have seen people say that they do these things, and I know for a fact that they don't know how to do these things. I don't do this stuff. Like, I will save my own house. I'll save myself. I wouldn't feel comfortable if someone was saying they've got stuff going on in their home. For me, I don't go and clear houses. I know people that do, so I will refer them to people that I know that do these things, that I know that I'm confident in referring them to, but I wouldn't refer them to anyone. But I do know people who put the name, this title, on their banner, and I know for a fact they do not know what they're doing. So just be aware of that. So someone who clears negative or stagnant energy from a physical space, but varies a lot. Some use sage or sound bowl, some like the sound bowl and crystal bowls. Others claim to remove spirits or attachments. Always ask what method they use, especially if you're sensitive to smoke, sound, or rituals. Sometimes they ask you to sort of leave the home while they do this stuff. I have been to one. I was with a person that does this work in this space clearings or house clearings, and they actually asked the person to sort of leave, and we saged, and then we made like loud noises as well. So that is something that so some people can call themselves house cleansers, but they just wave incense around. Others might do steep spirit extraction or mediumship level work. So just be careful with that. Make sure, I would always ask for referrals when it comes to that. As I said, I don't do that work. I'm fine if I do my own house, but someone else's house, I don't do. Spirit communicator means a psychic medium who communicates with the deceased. So again, this is more of a mediumship thing, but can be vague. They are channeled loved ones, guides, angels, or other beings. Do you bring ask them, do you bring through loved ones who have passed over, or are you receiving more general guidance as well? When you're going through a mediumship reading too, make sure the person is giving you the evidence that is your grandmother, grandfather. I had a well-known medium who just told me that, I got your grandfather here and he was quiet, and that was the information they gave me. My grandfather was quiet, but that was all they did. You want to give a bit more information than just one piece of evidence, because there's something else that they said too, which could have been either as well. So we've got Reiki healer. Energy healer means using hands-on or distant healing, and it's distant energy to shift your body's emotions or spirit. There is healing abilities with Reiki. I know for myself, I can sort of clear like sort of cramps and things like that. Like I'm not going to say cancer illnesses or cancer. I don't do that with it. People change. I use when I do it, I use crystals as well. So a lot of people don't explain how Reiki works. Basically, Reiki, you're like a channel and you're bringing in the healing energy in to then flow through the person that you're working on. So, as I said, I always use my healing guides and healing angels as well. So if someone says they're a Reiki healer, ask them how long they've been trained, what can they expect, what can you feel, and how to hold a space for the motion release as well. Okay. A healer in general can be powerful, but also very bored and sometimes overused, and can give the impression that the client is broken or needs fixing. But again, if after healing, ask, well, how do they heal? What do they do? So real healers guide your healing. They don't fix you as well. So no one outside of you is here to fix you. A true healer simply holds space for you to remember your own power as well. So all of these titles can be beautiful if they're explained clearly and used in integrity, but when they're just tossed around without context, people confused, misled, or worse, manipulated. You have every right to ask questions and to understand what you're getting and to walk away if something doesn't feel aligned to you. Okay. Also too, now how I think that though a lot of readers, they're using these titles, and I really feel like they're just doing it because it makes them sound better, more important or really good. And so it's like, if you're trying to fancy up your resume, but the everyday consumer is just going to get confused by words that they just don't know. I know I used to, before I knew all this stuff, I used to get so confused when I used to try and look for a reader as well. And a lot of times I'd be like, oh my God, if I went to like a reading, like a fair, if I went to a reading room, I just get very overwhelmed a little bit. So now also with how to choose a reader. So one thing too I find in the industry, it can be very ageist. So I find people think that because someone is older than another person, that they have more experience, they must be doing it longer, therefore, I'll go with them. That is not true. I remember, and I remember for myself, because I've been in this industry now for a while, and I've always been one of the youngest readers at fairs. I found that I've had to fight and I had to work very, very hard to get to where I have been today. And I remember I've been at this MBS when I was first there, and people would be I used to share a stand with an older lady because I was the youngest there, still roughly am. And people would look me up and down and be like, "Oh, she's the reader. How old is she?" And I would hear that, and that would really deter my confidence. And I used to try, and I've always felt that I've had to work twice as hard as anyone else because of that. That people don't realize that you could be, a lot of these ladies who are older have, unless you know they're well known, unless you know the industry for a long time, but a lot of them who are older have literally, they've had children, they're married, they're bored, they're looking for a new hobby, they go to a class, they think they're ready out there to read, and they start reading. And this person, they could be, older, and they could have a fabulous life. I know for myself, I've gone through things that have been quite hard and quite challenging. And so I haven't had a lot of life experience for my age and what I've gone through, even younger as a child. My life has not been easy by any means. So it's like people, they judge the appearance. They just think, oh, because you're younger, you don't have that life skills, or you're just not as good to someone who's older. I remember at a fair, and I was all set up, my tables all set up, and this lady comes in, and she was an older lady, she would have been retired. And her husband's coming behind her and he's holding her table for her, and you can see she's all excited, and sets up a table for her, and she's there to meet friends, and she's a lovely lady. Anyway, I was giving a reading to a client, and she walked past me, and then she just says, well, I'm giving a reading to a client. Oh, those cards are lovely. What cards are they? And first of all, I just ignored it, and then I kept on going with my client. And then she standing there, I could feel her, I could see a corner of my eye standing there. And again, she asked me again, and I had to sort of stop the reading and be like, oh, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm just in a reading at the moment. Like, I'll talk to you when I'm finished. And she's like, oh, yes, yes, yes. And I could hear her, chatting to people, oh, I'm here to socialize. And you get that. So you gotta think too, just because the person looks young does not mean they are not as good as a person who's older. So that is one thing else you got to remember in this industry. And also you got the price thing, just because someone is more expensive doesn't mean that they're as good as someone who's less expensive. Sometimes. So sometimes person that is less expensive, sometimes they won't be as good as the person who's more. So sometimes yes. But, I know my prices are a little bit down compared to other readers. And I know I've gone to and paid more, like twice as much as what I charge. And was I blown away from the reading? No, I wasn't blown away with the reading. And I feel like I have given more. So the price thing is funny. So there's a person that I go to, he's for readings, he's in Lakemba. I still go to him maybe every year, every 2 years maybe. He's a very good reader, but he only charges 130 an hour. So I'm 140 an hour. So he's amazing, and people go to him all over the place. He's not in the fairs. It's by word of mouth that you go to him. But yeah, he doesn't charge you the arm and the leg. And it's also a bit the readers what they have, their expenses, what their outlays as well. But and then I said I've paid over $300 for a reading just to see how it was. The person was okay. It was more counselling than reading. So the price thing is funny. So yes, sometimes the person's just starting out, they may start cheaper, but the guy that I see has been doing it for years. I know for myself, it's more about well, I have another job as well. So for me, I want to help my clients and make sure people can afford me. But it's that, that it's hard with pricing. But again, I feel like the best thing is about also referrals, and also use your instinct too, which we'll go about how to choose a reader. So trust your gut. I had a friend, she referred me to a reader, and she was saying, oh, she's really, really good. And this is the one that told me that I wasn't going to do this full time. And I just I'm like, I don't know about this person. My friend's like, no, 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 she's really good. She's really good. She goes to church. I'm like, okay. I booked in, and then she sort of said, oh, she wasn't doing readings on the holidays, which is fine for me. I was like, okay, fine, I can wait. And then she came back and said, oh, I'll book you in. And I'm like, okay, okay. So I drove to her house, and I was not happy with that reading at all. So sometimes in referrals, it's got to use your gut. So, look at the picture, get a feel for them, trust your gut. Does the energy feel grounded or real? As I said, with that person, I just straight away knew, no, it wasn't for me, but I went anyway. And a lot of it was her opinions, not what she saw. It wasn't just the whole psychic thing it was other things too, that she just wasn't really reading me. She was just giving her opinions. And so it kind of made me feel a bit depressed as well. And then she was telling me that, I should be doing, in the end, I told her what I did. Because she was telling me I should do this and I should do that. Like, I think she thought I maybe just started out, and I had to sort of tell her, no, I actually do XYZ. So look for clarity, not confusion. So you want someone who's just, make their labels very simple as well. Are they empowering or make you feel fearful? You got to ask yourself these things when you're choosing a reader. Do they give you the tools and insight, or just are they just about like drama as well? And the thing too, I feel like when you see someone, like especially if you've got a list, to me, whoever stands out to me, I go. That's how I pick now. Or I always pick the person who, if they've got like, if they're looking a bit, like a person looks a bit put together. So it looks, I don't say normal, but doesn't, but yeah, just looks like average person as well. I tend to go for if like someone was wearing like, witch's hat. I don't know if I'd go to them. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it depends how the energy is as well. Uh, I've met the lady. She does dress up as like a Wiccan. She's a lovely lady. So that's the thing too. You can talk to them and just have a chat. Not ask them questions. Don't ask them for a reading for free, but you can just have a chat and feel the energy and just see what you feel. So share personal examples. Oh, okay. So also too, it's just a bit, yeah, basically just your gut instinct too. Also too, like, and with these people that have this, I once booked in for a mentoring session with a psych. I didn't want a reading of this person because I had a reading of them years ago and it made me feel very confused. They just didn't make sense with their reading. They weren't really understanding the situation, but they had this very good reputation in the area, and they were advertising that they were mentoring. So I paid for this hour mentorship, and on the day I was actually getting excited because I was like, oh, haven't done classes in a while. I'm very, so excited, one-on-one, and to be able to work with this person and see what she thinks about my abilities or give me any advice. I was very excited. And then I get this message saying it was like they had a team. I don't think they have an admin team. I think it's just an impression that they're making out that they do. But anyway, I got a message from the team saying that the lady had felt that I had chose the wrong service, that I wanted a reading, not the mentorship, and that therefore they've cancelled my booking because I should have chose the reading. Now I didn't choose the reading. I chose mentorship because I wanted mentorship, and I knew because where they read was near where I worked, and I knew they were there that day because I saw them, and they locked the door when at my time appointment. They locked it, so I couldn't even reach them. So I tried calling, no luck there, and it had that they would refund me the money. So I ended up I just messaged back and I did stroke the ego a bit, said I don't get the ability, I'm not able to practice with people because I go to classes and it's always beginners that I'm practicing with, and it'd be really great to be able to practice with someone with your abilities. So with that, she agreed to reschedule me for the mentorship as well. So excellent, great. So, and the thing was too, I actually lost money with that because I had blocked out that session out in my calendar where I could have seen clients on that day. It also made me annoyed because I actually lost money because I blocked it out to see them. So that wasn't good. So the next day comes and I get excited and I go up to where they are, and I sit down with this person, and then she just starts giving me a reading, and it's not what I wanted. I didn't want the reading. I wanted mentorship. And then because they speak fast, and when I finally got an edge in, I was like, I'm not wanting a reading. I want a mentorship. And again, they're like, no, you're not. You're wanting a reading. I said, no, I want mentorship. I said, I booked in for the mentorship. You already cancelled once. This is meant to be it. And then she was like, oh, well, I have no time. I have no time for mentorship with you. I only can give you a reading, which I didn't want. I said, I'll refund you money. She had a little chat with me, I guess, which was nice. But she didn't, she would not, do the mentorship with me. I was very disappointed. And I was talking to someone, and they said not in the psychic world, out of this, what they do, something completely different. But they were saying, when she's obviously maybe looked to see who you are and maybe intimidated a bit. Who knows? Who knows? But she's very well known in her area. I will say that. But I was very disappointed. And I mean, for me, where I want to go is mentorship with people. I wouldn't care who it is. I would still honor that booking if they're paid for it. It's about honoring that. But anyways, so just just know, yeah, use your gut when you're going to people for these readings. Use your gut, use your intuition, who sends out at you. And yeah, just if you want, usually you're just wanting a psychic medium, or usually most people, I think. But the astrology, I find, gives a lot more of a reading there too. And I love astrology readings. I love astrology, love the planets. So you don't need a dictionary to connect with your soul. Real psychic guidance should make you feel lighter, clearer, and more connected to your own power. Like I said, you should feel really good. Like, at least they should give you hope. So they may not tell you what you want to hear, but they should be able to give you hope. I had a friend who wasn't happy with the reading, and she used to say to me, and I was trying to stand up for the reader a bit, and she was a bit like, yeah, but even with you, you'll say, but I see this for you. I see you doing that. And I go, oh, okay, I understand. Because I always try and give something. If I can't see something right now, but I'll say, oh, look, but I do see this for you, and I will see that for you, or whatever it is. So make sure that you feel better by the end of the reading, that you've gotten some kind of hope there, and not walking out feeling pretty crappy and terrible. And we've all had it. I mean, I've had it a number of times with readings. Sometimes people are just not your people. So thanks for tuning in to this honest chat on spiritual and cosmic with Lady D. If you've ever been confused by the psychic world, I hope this helped bring a little light and the clarity. Remember, trust your energy, trust your instincts, and know that you deserve a reader who speaks your language and honors your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, leave a review, or message me. I love hearing what resonates with your spirit. Until next time, keep shining.